there we go. No live play today. No live play.
Hey.
No live play. You get nothing from us today.
Because it's a holiday.
Yeah, I keep seeing a little bit of like levels popping up on my microphone that just ever so slightly picking up the fan. I don't think you can really hear the fan on your end. Can you hear a fan?
No, that's what drives me crazy is because sometimes when I open up OBS, it'll show that something's being picked up on my mic, but when I actually go to listen to it, nothing pops up.
Nothing.
And I realized it's because I'm talking away from my mic that it's picking up all that random noise instead of talking toward the mic.
Towards the microphone. So, yeah, I've got mine tucked underneath my arm. Here at the Galliard group, Johnny records every episode lying down on his back. Every single one. All right, let's get into this. You had an idea that you wanted to do for the channel. We're going to do it today. And then after this, we could do it whenever we really feel like. We're going to do this with our subscribers. But the guy who gets the idea gets to go through the first round of this. This is namely talking about this is our whole actors lounge. What was it called again? It's just where like the guy with the beard and the glasses.
Galliard's group character corner is what we're calling it.
There it is.
Or what I plan to call it.
There it is. I will let you rename the video after we upload it to your heart's content.
Oh, it's all good.
All right, there it is. You DM me what you want me to call this. All right, we essentially get a guy who's subscribed to us, who's in the server, who's been verified, and we just ask him, when it comes to playing tabletop games, how do you make characters? And we're going to do it with Ryan first to show you all how it's done.
Yeah,
there it is. Just doing this for the sake of fun. And of course, you guys have subscribed to us. We appreciate it. We're close to 500, and we don't want to be a big channel. We don't ever want to be a big channel. I like the size we're at now, but we can always just be like a little bit larger. So yeah, let's do something like this while we can.
I can't see anything wrong with us being a bigger channel.
No. Oh, yeah,
the only thing that we would have to do is like get some moderators.
Oh yeah,
because it's going to be too much for any one of us who are in the channel.
And anyone who's going to apply for a moderator position is going to be power hungry. Well, there it is.
It depends. Yeah, I've been offered a couple of moderator positions, and I'm like,
well, we don't.
I turned him down.
We don't bring anyone who's a lunatic into the server. That's what we do. We don't have anyone who's insane. Now let's get into this. So, Ryan, you are the subject of today's episode.
Apparently, yeah.
All right, now
I wasn't planning on this, but that's just the way it turned out. I mean, we could have also done you.
Do you want an episode where I just talk about myself the entire time?
Well, not yourself. More like Autumn Leaves or
yeah, Rap Red volunteered to distribute. We'll eventually get around to him.
Yep.
And with
sorry, not Autumn Leaves, Enthero.
Yeah.
I get you two mixed up a lot.
There it is. Because we're both horrible, violent psychopaths. That's why. You can't. All you psychos begin to look the same after enough games. All right, let's get into this. Why are you a guy who plays tabletop games? What exactly do you see in this?
I really like the fantasy type games. Could we pause this real quick? I gotta go grab my food.
Let's see. Well, I'm gonna be here the entire time. The man is grabbing his food right now.
Hey, sorry. Poor timing on my part.
Let's see, there it is. This video is brought to you by HelloFresh. There it is. He's picking up his meal right now. It's cheaper than going to the grocery store. I actually am enjoying this. You get I have like the 2-week meal a week plan, and you get this, and like it's actually fun cooking kind of stuff. I like cooking. This is just something that's really relaxing. And what do you get at a grocery store? You get like Stouffer's or banquet meals, and that's it. And both of those just kind of suck. So getting something where I can taste what I'm spending my money on, it's just better all around. It's not all this processed shit. Like, I'm delighted. You come to this channel for dietary advice. That's what you subscribe to this channel for. That's why you're here.
Sorry about that.
There it is. I'm your certified nutritionist, Ryan. I tell you what to eat.
I got Chipotle.
All right. With your Chipotle, why do you play tabletop games? Like the fantasy aspect of it.
Yeah.
You're too late. You're too late. You schmuck. I'm recording.
Oh, okay. What are you recording?
We're interviewing Ryan. There he is. See, we brought Zombie Elvis. I see absolutely nothing on your screen on my end.
I don't know why.
Yeah,
Hang on.
here it is.
I don't know why my camera's not working.
There it is. This is like well, it's almost like we're making an actual podcast this time. All right, so Ryan, with the fantasy aspect, why do you like the fantasy? What's the whole deal behind the fantasy? Like D&D fantasy specifically?
It could be anything really. I like werewolf and vampires. I've always liked werewolf and vampires. Underworld was a great influence on me.
Mm-hmm. The old 2000 movie where stuff just happened.
So when you guys introduced werewolf and World of Darkness in general to me, I was like, hey, I wouldn't mind playing that.
Mm-hmm. And then you did, and this very quickly became our favorite game to play.
Yeah.
And
I don't get me wrong, I still love D&D. I still run games of D&D.
Yeah.
I'm actually planning a one-shot coming sometime in November, December.
Mm-hmm. I'd love to get my hands on that.
With the new rules for D&D 5e.
See,
Mainly because I've been asked about it.
With the 2024 rules, and you want to see what that's like? There it is. Our local porn star has joined the chat.
And my Elvis cosplay. How you doing?
Yes. And there it is. He's doing our we did Elvis as a villain twice in our game so far. So there he is.
Yeah, that's right. My name is Arthur Gondoli. How you doing?
It's true.
Matter of fact, it was that son of a bitch that killed me back in New York.
It
It
was
was a good
Grimm.
fight. He put up a good fight. You're a good sport. You're a good sport. You know that?
Now, when we met you, Ryan, it was in a game that we were running. It was Mystic Odyssey of Theros that we were running. And you played a ranger in that one. You played a Beastmaster Ranger. You played as Gale. And
I love Ranger. I understand why he gets the hate, but I still love it.
yeah, it's grossly underpowered. D&D 5e leaves a lot to be desired when it comes to certain systems. I've always described D&D 5e as the gateway drug of tabletop games. When you play D&D 5e for the first time, it's incredible. But then you start learning about other games like World of Darkness, Warhammer 40k, Shadowrun, GURPS, Deadlands, Cyberpunk. You start diving deeper to these games. King Arthur's Pendragon, where at some point in my life I'll get around to playing that. And you begin to realize just how much more stuff you can do in these games. But you're always thankful to D&D for getting you started, because if it wasn't for that, you wouldn't know about these games at all.
To be fair, I didn't start playing tabletop RPGs until I started playing Pathfinder.
Mm-hmm.
It was at a convention that I went to with a buddy of mine.
Uh-huh.
And we sat at one of the tables and we played one of the what was it called? The Pathfinder, like kind of like a
like a knockoff Pathfinder. Was it like?
Well, no, it was a Pathfinder game. It was sponsored by Paizo.
Yes.
Whatever it was called.
Yeah.
They had actual tabletop games based off modules.
All right, so
kind of like D&D has with the Adventures League,
or like a very small board game like World of the Apocalypse Retaliation, where we've yet to get to touch into that. I don't know if we ever will, because I don't want to give Alex past shit. But you saw that, and it all got started with Pathfinder for you. Was it first or second edition?
It was 5th edition.
All right, 5th.
The guy who introduced us gave us a bunch of free books, which was huge at the time.
All right, and they gave you all these books. Do you still have those with you?
Yes, I do. I think actually they were 2nd edition.
All right, because you have 1E and 2E with Pathfinder. I'm waiting for 3E to be a thing already. Now is the time to strike, and I think Paizo has waited too long to get 3E on the way. So there it is. You will always be second fiddle to D&D. Sad.
After I tried starting running my own game, I kind of faltered because I was mixing 5E books with 2E books. No, sorry, 3.5 books.
Yes, and where you don't know like the big difference between the editions. Where second edition cuts out the strength save, strength save, intelligence save, and charisma save.
It wasn't second edition. It was 3.5.
Got it. Well, that was the original Pathfinder.
Yeah.
Yeah.
D&D.
Yes.
Because I had bought books for D&D 3.5 edition, but I was running the Fendelvers of
Lost by
the Mines of
Fendelver?
Fendelver.
Yes.
Yeah. And so I was like getting super confused with all that stuff.
Or Pathfinder is a very number crunchy game. It's a game that I would not recommend to anybody as a first time game. It's kind of like I'm surprised you got into this after like having a messy run with Pathfinder, but you stuck with it. And then what happened after Pathfinder?
I tried running my own game in D&D
Mm-hmm.
because I figured D&D was going to be more easier to play.
Which it was.
I started my own game and it was not Curse of Strahd. It was Tomb of Annihilation.
Oh.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. There we go.
That's where I met one of my longtime friends and DMs.
Uh-huh.
He ran the game for me after I bombed
Right.
significantly.
Yeah. Tomb of Annihilation, you want to talk about hitting the ground running when it comes to a game. Honestly, the game that I would recommend people as a new DM if you want to start running D&D 5e would be Tales of the Omni Portal. Because that Sun of the Citadel is almost perfect when it comes to game design with tabletop games. There's nothing fundamentally wrong with Sun of the Citadel. And you start off with Tomb of Annihilation, which is a meat grinder by design.
Yeah.
All right, and then
I made so many bad decisions. Like in the middle of a party, I released a dinosaur that was locked up,
and
the party members are like, "Why'd you do that? That made no physical sense." I'm like, "Well, the guy was nervous and he fucking wasn't thinking." I made so many excuses as to why I was being a bad DM.
Where sometimes characters make irrational decisions, but when stuff like happens for the sake of happening, then your players begin to question it. Where at the same time, I feel like if a character does something stupid, like say, I accidentally release this dinosaur, that's not necessarily a wrong thing, but I see like where you're going with this and like how it kind of rubbed the player table the wrong way. And
yeah.
I
wasn't a player; I was a DM.
Okay, and then you passed, and then you passed it off to someone else.
I passed it on to my long friend. We've been friends for about 6 years. He's the first person who responded to my DM cause. Like I put out I didn't know better at the time, so I put out a advertisement on Roll20. I was like, "Hey, I need a DM."
Yeah, and then you
guy
found
responded.
One.
Yeah,
you
became a longtime friend.
Yeah, you did the thing that I hate the most on Roll20. And it and it worked out for you.
Yep. I also met another DM of mine that was another DM, a longtime friend of mine.
Yes.
From that same game.
Yeah. And from that same game, eventually that led to something along the lines of like a love for tabletop games in general.
Oh yeah.
Just,
I've always loved TTRPGs and I've always wanted to play one.
Mm-hmm.
But like I said, a lot of things got in my way, and it wasn't until I got to that convention that I actually started playing.
I remember Kyle. It was Kyle who introduced D&D to me at all. Because for a while I just looked at D&D. I said, "This shit's kind of weird. I don't know if I want to play this or not." And then I looked at the player's handbook, and it was 300 pages long. And then eventually got around and played my first game. I'll talk about more if you want to do my episode later. But it's a miracle that I stuck with D&D at all, and like how me sticking with this. With this.
I'm gonna be honest. I still haven't fully read the handbook or the DM's guide.
Well, that's fine. Nobody else has either.
I'm still learning a lot about the stuff that's been written in there. Like recently, I found some new rules that I'm planning on implementing.
Well, behold, Tard alert! Grown man who watched an episode of Bluey. I watch it because we babysit our little cousins, and that's on TV sometimes. I remember there was one that actually has like pretty decent advice for running games like that, where rules are meant to keep the game together, But if there are rules that are getting in the way of the fun of the game, then you can start changing around the rules. Because stuff like the bonus action, offhand attacks, moving through people's spaces, movement speed for dwarves, where it's... I've never been a...
Flanking is a big one.
I've never been a big rules as written kind of guy. And you could see that when we were doing 3.5, that I didn't want the rule book to be the end-all, be-all when it came to running games. I wanted there to be customization for the storytellers and for the players that would also pick this up, where I wasn't going to have anything that was going to be super set in stone. That's why I did very easy to understand rules like fixed damage values, for example. And combat was going to go attack roll, dodge roll, soak roll, and that was every turn. It was simple what you were doing. And with D&D 5e, I've always found myself just tweaking the rules ever so slightly to make the game not just more enjoyable for myself, but more enjoyable for the players. Because there's something that I hate with tabletop games, and that's the feeling that I'm getting my time wasted if I'm playing the game. Where my tolerance for crappy DMing has dropped down to 0. If I'm in a game that I'm not enjoying myself, I'll just tell the DM, hey, like, straight up, this sucks. And I'm not bashful about that at all. That is not pejorative or pressure on you, Ryan. Kyle was looking at me and was like, that's why he was super nervous about Rage Against Appalachia. I'm saying, dude, if you're doing something bad, I'm going to tell you that you're doing something bad. Have I told you anything yet? The answer is no. Because he's doing his...
Well, that's what's happening in the game that I'm playing in.
Yeah. Where...
a couple of people are having issues with how the DM is handling it. I have no issues, but apparently to them, there's no plot, there's no story, and I'm like, guys, you're just not paying attention. That's what the whole issue is.
Yeah, but it's crappy entitled players that are expecting the DM to do what they want to do instead of going along with the DM story.
Yeah, it's the main case of like, hey, I want to be in the spotlight, and they're like, they had 4 hours to be in the spotlight because I was working late one night. And then when we came in and it suddenly turned to us, they started having issues. And I'm like, what are you guys talking about? You had 4 hours to play.
You had 4 hours to do this shit. And I hate just how entitled players are with tabletop games just now, where you expect the DM to just suck your dick at the table the entire game. I mean, this is why I'm very hesitant to run games for strangers on Roll20 anymore. But why I've like stepped out of doing D&D entirely. I'm just doing World Darkness now. Is you get a lot of crappy people when you try finding strangers on Roll20. So a miracle for you that it went off as well as it did.
Yeah. I mean, and I do sometimes post like one shots that I'll do on Roll20. Mainly because I'm testing something, or I want to run a game without having constant players being like, hey, I want to do this or this or this.
Yeah, you've got a story that you want to tell and you're going to tell it.
Exactly.
Yeah. And with Tomb of Annihilation, you ran that, you traded it off, you found another friend for a DM, and then where does the story go from there?
I played in a lot of different games going forward, so mainly out of the 2 main DMs that I have, and then I joined yours.
Where that was in 2002 for anyone who's keeping track of the timeline. And remembering when that was around
is it 2002?
Yeah, that was summer 2022. Sorry.
Yeah. Okay.
All right.
I was about to say, holy shit.
I've known Ryan for 22 years.
Yeah, I was like, what, 8?
Yeah, you were 8 and I was 4, and that's when we became friends. All right, and it was a Mythic Odyssey of Theros game, and when I met you,
I made Gale.
Yeah, you made Gale, and when I met you for the first time, I picked you as a guy that was kind of shy, because I remember.
Absolutely.
Yeah, because you're meeting me for the first time, you don't know what kind of DM I am, and by that time that was my 3rd long running campaign that I was doing, where I just finished Descent to Avernus. I finished Out of the Abyss. You joined the group that I did Out of the Abyss with. Out of the 6 people that joined, Ham and me being on this channel stuck around, and they're still with us. And this was you were joining a pre-established group too, and I find it very hard in Roll20 to get into a group like that, because it's not so much nobody there wants to be your friend. It's more they've already got an established shtick and established inside jokes that you need to very quickly learn. And I don't think they really notice that they're not being super friendly and super accommodating. But if you don't immediately catch on, you start very quickly falling out of the group, and eventually it results in you either getting a message from your DM saying, "Why aren't you being a good enough player at the table?" Well, it's because you're not really throwing me enough bones, or you leave voluntarily. Is how that typically turns out. But
I didn't seem to have that issue, mainly because I was a quiet guy and I wanted to fit in, so I adapted my personality to fit in with the group.
Yeah, because you saw that whenever we were running games, that Sean and Kyle were very talkative when it came to this, and I do what I can as a DM to make sure everybody at the table feels involved, because I notice if a player doesn't say anything after a while, I'll call them by name, take the spotlight, and put on them for a minute, and if they want to do something, then I start following them for a few minutes. I had to quickly learn that after doing Realm of the Frost Maiden, where you got to split up and cover multiple people that might not all be in the same area. And when you made Gale, you're going for like a strange mix. You had like a half feral human that was using a blood raven as his familiar. And from what I remember, we had polytheism as a big theme of that game. And you stuck with two gods. I believe you stuck with Farrakha was the goddess. Let's see, because I'm pulling up the Theros gods right now, and there's around, say, 12 of them. Yeah, Farrakha was the one that you stuck with, because you started.
It was Vega and the goddess of the hunt.
Yeah, you had that and the hunt goddess. Nylea was the hunt goddess.
Yeah, Nylea, that's what it was.
And with Farrakha, you end up joining with her more, because you started having your character do experiments. I said, we had an encounter in the middle of that game where I said, "Oh, this poison, it's not bad poison, it's good poison. It's killing something in your body that could harm you later down the line if you leave it unchecked." And with that, your character started experimenting with substances after that happened. And with like,
you started doing more and more of the drug.
Yeah. And with piety being a thing in this game, that because of your experimentations, you ended up becoming a better follower of Farrakha than you did of Nylea. And eventually that adapted to you becoming this half beast master, half poisoner kind of ranger as we were playing that game. Because for the most part, Gale was an empty slate that could really adapt to any situation. And he did. And that was a character that I really did like. I liked seeing you play as him. And in combat too, because I don't think there was any one thing you couldn't have done in combat. Where if you need to go melee, you could do melee. If you want to go range, you could do range. You solved puzzles while we were playing that game too.
He was mainly a ranged character. I don't think any time that I went range, there's been like 2 or 3 times that you actually hit me.
That was it, because...
And that was because you're using ranged spells or something of the sort.
Yeah, because you found out very quickly that a lot of the enemies you fought in that game were melee-based. Where I might as well have the forces of Khorne coming after you. And it's because... same thing, where a lot of the villains in that were worshippers of, I believe his name is Mokus, the Minotaur god of rage. That's who most of these people were following. And once you figured that out, how this group fought, you started adapting around it, and eventually got to the points where you weren't taking damage in combat anymore because you knew how it was going to run the enemies. That's why when I pull up a spellcaster, all of a sudden it's a big deal because this is a creature that you don't know what he's going to do. It'll make the scene tenser. And
I gotta say, out of my favorite scene out of that entire campaign was this one. I think it was a Leonin.
Yeah, where I put a CR14 monster in front of you when you were level 4, and and you used the environment and you used puzzles to beat that fight. Because me and I appreciate that he tells it like it is. He looked at me and said, "What the fuck are you doing putting this creature in front of us?" I said, "No, hold on a minute. Think about, be creative for problem solving. you can pull this off. And the reason that came to my mind is because I was in a different game where we were level 6 and we managed to fight and kill a Baylor at level 6 in a game. So I thought I could do that same thing with level 4 and CR14 and give you environmental clues as to how to win that fight.
I was like, holy fuck, how are we going to beat this thing? This thing takes both half damage from both magical and non-magical. I was like, I don't know how we're going to do this.
And then
we did it.
And then behold, you started finding little loopholes around the rules. You found out that area control spells are super good, and
that is one of the good things that I'm good at, is finding loopholes.
Something like that really influenced me was Final Fantasy VIII when it came to game design, because there's this big T-Rex enemy in Final Fantasy VIII that will just one-shot you if it attacks you, but if you blind it, it's weak to blindness, and if you do that, all of the attacks miss. And it encourages you to use other tactics in combat besides just mashing the attack button. Where if you're not thinking in a tabletop game, you're not having as much fun as you normally would.
I 100% agree.
And with Gale, after that, the next game that we ran, I think we immediately went to World of Darkness.
We did. We went straight into Vampire the Masquerade.
And
that's when I made Sylvester.
You made Sylvester Schreck. And describe to me how you started that process. Because
to be fair, I 100% didn't know anything about World of Darkness or Vampire the Masquerade, besides what little I did know was that it was about vampires.
Yeah, and I did make a lot of newbie mistakes in that, because there were some things that I shouldn't have done for a vampire game, but I did anyway. Like, first of all, running Vampire 5th Edition instead when I should have run Vampire V20. And eventually I realized that V5 was a crock of shit, and I started hybridizing V20's rules into it, because you could use 2 disciplines, and then that was it. That was it. You have 2 powers, and that's it. Because when you were... I remember you asked me something along the lines of... that it's... you asked me this with Grimm. But you came to me and you said, what vampire is the best? And I told you there is no best vampire, because all the vampires had this massive drawback to them, and I listed off what they were. And then you picked the one that had no drawback, and that was the caitiff. And...
yeah. You gave me I gotta say, you gave me a list of vampire option, and I felt super overwhelmed looking at that list. I'm like, I don't know anything about what these do. And then you're like, well, there's this caitiff, which means you can pull any of the disciplines that you want from any of the vampires. Mm-hmm. I was like, you know what? As a beginner, that sounds really good to play with.
And then, as it turned out, because of how we end up picking the vampires, because that party was 1 Gangrel, 1 Toreador, 1 Bruja, 1 Zemichi, 1 Giovanni, and then 1 caitiff, there was no way I could have done a Camarilla game with that. So instead we hybridized it. We had to be half Anarchs, half Sabbat, and then Meeping was the only member from the Camarilla. And then that game was this massive mess where the reason why it was so action-packed was because under any other circumstances, your characters would have had nothing to do with each other, which is why I had you under the gun for that entire game. And it worked out, because Sean told me that's his favorite game that he's run with, that I've run with him in the group. Because
I gotta say, I fucking love Sylvester Schreck more than I like Grimm.
Yeah.
He was just he was one of my best characters, and I didn't even know what the fuck I was doing.
And you had a lot of great moments with him too. But when you made him, you made him out to be this highly intelligent serial killer, is who he was. He was basically, we didn't say whether or not he was the Zodiac killer, but he could have been.
It's been implied.
It was implied that it was him. And then the Sabbat caught what he was doing, embraced him, and then turned him into a vampire. And then after that, all the evidence got swept away, and you got away with their murders, only to do them all over again as a caitiff. And there was the based murderer, as you were.
the moment he lost his sire, he was like, you know what? I'll just go back to kill him.
Exactly, because you had the Agent of Chaos background, where your sire was Malkavian, but because you were so diluted in blood, you carried over none of the Malkavian traits. So
Yeah.
you were let off the hook. You had a handler, Rudy Holland, who was this Kurt Cobain, Lasombra kind of guy. That was your handler.
Who fucking came back in our Rage Across New York episode.
Yeah. No, that was Ruslan, the knight. Rudy,
Well, no, he also came back because he was the one in the blood.
He was. Yeah, you hallucinated. No, hold on. No, that was the Padre. That wasn't him.
No.
Yeah.
Never mind. Sorry. That was the. Fuck. What was his name?
Let's see. His name is starting to escape me too. Actually, he was in. We can go back and we can check an episode after the episode. But but Rudy, I haven't brought him back, and he dies protecting you from what was that in that game? The secondary antagonist. You had a Black Fury chasing after you, and he knew that he was going to die in that fight. He stays behind. He of course dies because it's a Black Fury, and then after that, Sylvester started becoming his own man after that blood bond got cut.
Yeah,
and Vigo Corinth was a horrible influence on you.
Yes, he was.
Like the relationship between the two of you, it felt like we were kind of having something along the lines of, I know the game gets derided for its writing a lot, but I thought it was fine. Like the DMC, like 2013 version of Devil May Cry with Dante and Virgil, where Vigo was this super experienced vampire. He was a killer just like you. And
I'm pretty sure he was the reason I diabolized that one guy.
He was, because he taught you what Diablerie was. And he knew all these other things in the Sabbat where you had just been kept out in the dark on purpose as a hitman. And you didn't know about the positions, you didn't know how to promote in the Sabbat, you didn't know what the laws were. And Vigo Corinth would teach you these laws. He was played by Ham, by the way, as the game went on. And eventually, your character started getting bolder. You started deciding that I don't need the Sabbat, I don't need these authority figures to tell me what to do as a vampire. I'm my own man. I can go and do what I want. And so you did. And that eventually led to when we did the Setite raid, that you diabolized one of the Setites and got Serpentis off of it. And you promoted a generation. You became a Generation 12 Kadif off of that. And...
yeah, I also remember being betrayed by my sire's sire.
Yeah.
The Padre.
Yeah, where
he's like, well, you've talked to Malkav, you've done all this other stuff. And he's like, well, I didn't follow him.
And then he's about to kill you before he decides that it's not worth it because it's not going to change that Malkav is in Las Vegas. By that point, the Jihad has failed and there's nothing that can be done. Until Rage Across New York, of course. And same thing too. I remember we had a scene where, I don't remember where I read this, but it was something along the lines of, if you want to see your characters get developed, where you want to know what these characters are like as people, take them out of an action scenario and put them in a casual scenario. Not like going to a weapon shop and buying weapons, nothing like that. That's still objective focused. Just something entirely RP focused. So I had it be that you guys wanted to a grocery store.
Hieronymo.
Yeah. Hieronymo Basecchio. That was the name of the Padre.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That you walked into a supermarket and everyone had a different reaction there because Vigo Corinth went in, stole the spices, and just walked right out after using Dominate on the manager when he tried to stop him. And while everyone's in the supermarket, you didn't go into the supermarket. You instead went to the parking lot, found a woman, jumped into her car, and fed on her away from the headlights, away from the lamp lights, and nobody caught on to what you were doing. You just walked back over, completely casual. You definitely weren't feeding during that time.
That was because the one of the what was it?
Yeah.
Feeding banes?
Yeah.
No, not banes.
Yeah.
The feeding things that I was stipulated to was road killer, which means I could only feed on people who are from out of town.
Yeah. And you identified somebody that had a California license plate in Nevada. So bingo, there we go. And
I took her car, brought it back, and took all the money that was in their pocket.
Hey, we have Colt walking back with a pack of cigarettes in his pocket, and he looks at you, and you're just wiping the blood off your mouth when you come back into that scene. And same thing with the bowling alley, because I think that was the moment where Kyle really began to love Vampire as a game, was that entire scene we had in the bowling alley, and then the boss fight right afterwards, where we're having this massive dramatic fight with Colt fighting his wife, who's become a young blood hunter. And meanwhile, when this fight's going on, you're over at the bowling alley still bowling because you're not done playing the game.
And he's like, I don't give a fuck about this. And then, like, later on, when it was starting to become more of a problem, he's like, I guess I'll deal with this. And it was like, dominate, erase memory, or change memories, or whatever it was.
Yeah, because you're over there, and you do that from the bowling alley, like, between your rolls. Is when you use that power. And funny enough, too, out of all the characters, even though Sylvester was eccentric, he technically was the most normal out of the entire pack. Because you had Tabitha.
He had more humanity.
Which was deeply ironic for a member of Sabbat. Where Vigo, in comparison, you and Ham did so well together in that campaign. You did such a good job with being each other's foil. Because Vigo made it no secret that he wanted to diablerize, he wanted to be in the Jihad, he wanted to find elders and crank up his generation as soon as possible, and fully went down the path of metamorphosis. You, on the other hand, stuck with the path of humanity. And even though that you killed people, you still had a sense of justice, because you only ever targeted people that you felt deserved their deaths. In character.
Besides that old woman. Yeah. That old woman was just poor rolls.
Yeah, that was, hey, who's at the door? And then he just jumped on whoever it was.
I think he was super fucking hungry at that point, to be fair.
Yeah, you failed a frenzy roll is what happened. And then he jumped onto her. There we go. Besides that.
And then I started playing Grimm.
Yeah. And then you started playing Grimm, where...
That was when we first started recording.
Yeah.
So I was super nervous about being not on screen, but in video.
Yeah.
In audio.
Where eventually you start coming out of your shell as we started going along. Where
I felt more and more awkward.
Yeah. Even though we only had about 20 people watching at the time. It was still an audience. And then we made the 5th edition video, and the channel blew up a little bit. And when you made Grimm, you had a design process which was the strongest. You DM'd me and you said, which of these Geru tribes is the strongest? And I said Fenris, without a doubt. Okay, well, which auspice is the strongest? I said the Arun. You said what breed is the strongest? I said, well, Lupus gives you dead. I want to be Lupus. And so you did what so many people in World of Darkness hate. You power gamed. And you picked the best of everything. You did that, and under any normal circumstances, this character should have sucked. Grimm should not have been good as he was, but not only was he fantastic, but he basically became the main character of that campaign as we were going along.
Which was 100% unintentional.
Yeah, you did such a great job with Grimm that I found myself giving more and more attention to you as we were doing Rage Across New York. It's because I just wanted to see more of you playing as Grimm. I just wanted to see more of that. And the way you started, you were this Yujiro Hanma type, where I'm the big bad wolf, I can do this because I have the power to get away with it. And I don't care what you think because I'm bigger and badder than you'll ever be. And
the inspiration from Grimm was, me and Sean talked about it for a couple of... in between sessions. And I still to this day can't remember what it was that I wanted to do. But it was more like the Grimm, like the old fairy tale Grimm's Hollow type stuff that I wanted to do for Grimm.
Got it. Where you have a very dark kind of anti-hero that comes in.
Yeah. The big bad wolf was the whole...
And he was
whole thing.
And he was a musclehead when he came in too, because you were fighting enemies by picking them up by their legs and then using them as weapons.
Yeah. So the original I don't know if you remember, but you probably do. But Lion King,
Yes.
the third hyena that was very like
Yeah, Ed.
mangy. Yeah, yeah.
That was the original.
That was the idea.
Yeah.
That was the original idea, and then it turned into this big fucking alpha wolf type mentality.
And then Reynard was supposed to be your foil for that game because instead of putting off of Ham, you went with Sean and you made your characters together, where he made Reynard Fontaine, who was supposed to be your manipulator. But because Sean was absent for so many of the games, because, well, first of all, he had a child. I mean, that's a good reason to miss games. So Grimm didn't have anyone holding his leash, so he's going off by himself, doing scenes by himself, causing chaos by himself. And eventually, I was looking at Mage Ascension around the same time I was looking at Werewolf, and I looked over at the Cult of Ecstasy, and I was thinking to myself, we got Malkav as the villain for this game. We've got Bacchus in the cairn. I have Bacchus as a named character who's in this. And then the way the encounter with Ragnar ended, Bacchus became your totem. I gotta put a member of the Cult of Ecstasy into this game. I just have to. And then you end up meeting Freya. And around that time, I was doing a whole bunch of research too about stuff like ayahuasca and people that take those kind of trips, salvia, how people spend 8 years in their minds as doorknobs on their trips. And I was thinking, what if we take that and I go all in on the time angle, where not only can she reverse her time by 6 seconds but with the tattoos on her hand, but she can give you these little LSD stickers that you put on your tongue that slow down your perception of time to that extent. And it eventually led to one of our best scenes in the game, which was Freya looking at you saying, I don't know if we'll survive the apocalypse or not. Would you like to see what our life could be together? And then you had that trip together with her. And
what was it? The 11 years?
Yeah, that was 11 years with her. And with that
significantly changed the way how I played Grimm afterward.
Yeah, that was the moment where I decided, where I think I fell in love with your character, that I wanted to see more of Grimm. And the reason why you sought out Frey in the first place was because you were trying to one-up Tyler. Because what kind of pack alpha doesn't have sex, but the beta has sex, namely a Fianna doing that. The Fianna are supposed to be the bond bitches to the Gale Fenris. This can't do. So instead of beating with a member of the Bacchus and violating the litany, you went out, you found Freya, and then with her, what started off as what was just going to be a one-night stand, and then that was it, started turning into this loving relationship between the two of you. And then that became your story became the big bad wolf learns to become human as the game went on. And you start doing other stuff where Grimm started wearing glasses. He started spending time in Hamid form and not just Lupus MS form all the time. And he was still a musclehead, but he started to think things through. He didn't immediately go in and try swinging his dick around, try dominating the scene. That you started thinking things out. You started making plans with Reynard instead of just going along with whatever Reynard said, along with working off of Chico and working with what Elmira said. And eventually, that you started slowly earning that main character slot in my mind. And we had so many different fun scenes too. We had that standoff with you and the troll. We thought about just you wanting to fight that troll. And at Grimm at the start of the game would have immediately done that, but with your character development, you showed temperance and you didn't try to jump in the troll because there was other stuff to do.
There are many times where I was like, "Oh yeah, Grimm would absolutely do this," and I'm thinking, you know what? Maybe he wouldn't because of what's happened and just the stuff that is the stuff that occurred in that 11 years has changed him on a mental level, and he's more about the pack than he is about himself.
It's like in that 11-year trip, you got you didn't necessarily have a wedding, but you had a wife, you had kids, you were able to train your kids, even though you knew that your son wasn't real. It felt that way. And just
There's one scene where Freya got taken away from him, and he just wanted to let loose, but he's like, no, there's a logical explanation to why this happened, and I'm not gonna do whatever I want.
and eventually you figured out that it was another mage, and you came in, and your mission was, we got to get my wife back, and that was a fight that went remarkably well in your favor, because I was just bombing my rolls that entire fight. But you eventually did, and it wasn't like, say, what Ends the Road does, where if she saves somebody she's had coitus with, that it's not her doing it out of love, it's just her property. It felt like Grimm loved Freya as the game was going on.
And he did. Like,
where the two of you had this really nice connection. I remember Lieutenant Sec, even though I asked for, he wanted to do a little birthday present for me, and he drew Danny Grand Slam from that game, and he put you and Freya in the background of it. And it's because
I remember that.
Yeah, it's because that character dynamic left an impression on him when we were making that game, where it just how there was like a level of sweetness to it in the World of Darkness, and that was the game where we really began to see that there's something special to be found in World of Darkness. Because sure, it's a bleak nihilistic setting, but you can have moments like that, and it's the memory of those moments and the hope that you can have something like that again that keeps you going forward in the World of Darkness.
Oh, yeah.
And with that,
Grimm was a good character that I made.
Yeah, and I remember same thing with Malkath. After that fight ended, and he learned that the entire ritual to revive Set was a lie, and then he just quit the game, so to speak. The final boss became Burst Bruiser, and you 1v1'd him, but you were going for a more sacrificial kind of role, where you were going up against this guy, you knew he could kill you in one punch, but you knew that your party had your back, because over the course of the game, Grimm started trusting these characters, and it just went to show just how much he developed as the game went on. And
so that scene, when I was doing that scene, I was thinking Grimm was starting to get back into the old him, and then I thought about it more, and I was like, no, Grimm is taking on this responsibility so that nobody else in his party gets hurt.
And then he pulls it off, and with all these different allies you made, you pull off this team effort that eventually kills the avatar of the Ratkin. And with that, you managed to seize power back into the hands of the Garou, and New York became this big Mad Max kind of setting afterwards. But then after that,
he took a hit to his pride, knowing that he couldn't beat Burst Bruiser on his own, but he had trust in his compatriots that they would help him.
Yeah, because after all,
and they did.
Because you were fighting a rat that was designed to be the best by his totem, and there was shame in it, but it was still understandable that under no circumstances could a Garou fought that guy and won. That you had to come at this from a different mindset. And
to be fair, the beginning of that fight, it was true. He couldn't step up to him. But if I remember correctly, later on, as the fight was progressing, he was missing more, he was hitting more and getting hit less.
Yes. And it was kind of like, it played into a Ludo narrative where Grimm is starting to recognize the patterns that Burst Bruiser is throwing his way, and he's adapting and starting to dodge these attacks instead of just trying to tank the hit.
Yeah.
And then the way that game ended, where instead of staying in the madness of New York City, you got out of it and went to East Europe to be with Freya. Where...
Yeah, at that point, he was like, I just want to start my life over again.
Because by that point, you had achieved greatness. You fought an antediluvian, and you came out of that fight alive. So not...
At that point, he didn't need to do anything else.
That was a level of glory on the lines of the Croatan sealing the consumption worm, where you prevented Gehenna from doing that. And with that, everyone else stayed behind, but then you went off with Freya, and your adventure continued because there was still Gehenna stuff going on in Europe. But we knew that you were going to be okay. You weren't in any real danger. And
I think by the end of that, I had some pretty decent gifts,
Mhm.
as well as abnormal strength.
Oh yeah, Grimm could like tear down a building in a few punches. He was so strong, and
Yeah.
and it ends the road has finally reached his level 2, where they're on the same level, same strength score now. So it's very fun having that much power, right?
Yeah. If I'll go through and find out the final stats of Grimm real quick.
Because tell me if I need to reopen that Rage Cross New York game, because I think Roll20 makes the game dormant if nobody plays it for a while.
I was able to restore it.
Okay, so you can see it on your end.
Yeah.
There it is.
So by the end of it, because he was always either in Lupus or Krynos, he had a total of 6 strength, 3 dexterity, 4 stamina, 1 charisma, 2 manipulation, 3 appearance, 4 perception, 1 intelligence, 3 wits.
There it is. And that being on Freya's drugs just made him a little bit smarter when he was doing the blue stickers.
Oh yeah. He had a 4 athletics, 4 brawl, 4 melee, 3 alertness, 3 intimidation, stealth, and survival with rituals. I should have picked up some rituals, but at the time I didn't know what rituals were.
Yeah. And I admittedly I could have done a better job at explaining it too. But the guy Fenris, you had your runes where you're able to divine with the runes. Yeah, you had that. And
yeah, I remember that.
yeah, it took me a while to find that too, because we found a half written version of it and I had to go and find the full version.
Oh, I did have rights. I had the Rite of War, the Rite of Rune Carving.
Yeah,
Anything else?
Yeah, a lot of stuff that was like the flavorful kind of rights.
Yeah, it was mainly those two.
There it is. Along with your big damn points of pure breed.
My gifts were heightened senses, razor claws, resist pain, and if I remember correctly, I have it written here: scent of sight.
Yeah, I think you had
Troll skin, and Grimm's resolve.
I think you had Grimm's inspiration too. Yeah. Where, the very very straightforward gifts, but you were rolling so well and you just dealt so much damage on impact that it really did not matter.
Yeah.
There it is. I hit the thing really hard and it dies. The Jotaro Kujo kind of mentality of fighting.
He had specialties in stamina and perception.
And so he was very tanky. I remember you only went down once in combat besides the Burst Bruiser fight. That was because of poison, because that was the only way I could get you down.
Yeah. He had 7 points of permanent rage, 4 points of gnosis, and 3 points of willpower. He was maxed out on glory, and he had 3 in honor.
There it is. All the glory that comes with fighting an Antediluvian.
Yeah.
All right. We haven't finished these characters as of recording, but after we did Grimm, next up was Cleft Reid.
It was which one did we do first? It was Rage Across Appalachia, right?
Yeah, Appalachia first, right? So you start making Cleft Reid.
I made Cleft Reid solely because I wanted to play just your typical redneck. To be fair,
you want to be Joe Dirt, is what you wanted.
I was like, oh no, not that one.
Yeah.
Let me open up Rage Across Appalachia real quick.
Yeah, there it is. You get to enjoy this. Where like even the token we generated came out looking like Joe Dirt,
which I 100% didn't know or wasn't expecting.
Yeah. And then like your character, like the reason he's called Cleft is because the inside of his mouth has the cleft palate. He doesn't have he doesn't have it on the lips, but it's in his mouth. I have a coworker who has that, and he's got a very unique voice. It's very high pitched for a man when he has that. And your voice is too low in like the bass and baritone range to fit that. But whenever you speak, I always imagine him being very high pitched. He's
very high pitched and he's very southern.
Yeah.
Which I am not very good at portraying because I try.
So when you talk out of his mouth, he sounds like this. He sounds like he's talking from Waxhaw County.
So I knew I wanted to play Bonar and I wanted to play a Menace.
Uh-huh.
So I was like, you know what? I'll just make him a Philodon.
Yeah, there it is.
I
And
was like,
yeah.
I struggled to figure out what this character was going to be.
Mm-hmm. And from what
And
from what Kyle's told me, you're eventually going to end up being like the main character of Borderlands with how many guns you've got coming out for your body.
he had his main one, which is Ma and Pa,
Yeah, the shotgun.
and it's a not a double entendre, but it's a pun because he uses one barrel Ma for like blowing people's head off. You know where their Ma is, MAW.
Yes.
And the paw is for like torturing people, blowing off their hands, fingers like their paw.
There it is.
PAW.
'Cause
So I was like, you know what? That is a great name for the gun, and it was gifted to him by his mother and father.
there we go. A little kiss from Daddy.
Yeah.
And the reason why your character has like what thinks this way is because as part of your backstory, you worked with Setites before just for business, right?
Yeah.
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 And we've yet to explore that, but that's on the table.
I have from that one episode where we were doing the thing.
Yes.
Where we were talking about Cleft selling guns to a bunch of, what was it, Giovanni?
Yes.
So going forward, at one point, he's going to start his own manufacturing business where he sells guns with 13 rounds.
Yes. There you go. That's just one for every clan of
And
vampire.
That's mainly because I panicked and couldn't think of a gun on time.
So behold,
But now it's canon. He makes 13 round guns that he makes himself.
He'll just build his own. It'll be fine.
Yep. It doesn't matter because he has so much into repair. He can do it. He has a lot into science and firearms, so he's good to go on that front.
I've noticed too whenever we run games that whoever Kyle is playing in a game, Kyle usually ends up being the butt monkey of the party, where if anything goes wrong, it happens to Kyle's character. Where now that Kyle's running this game, that has ended up falling to you for the campaign, because a lot of the humor that goes on in our campaign, you tend to be on the receiving end of it.
One of my, and this is for any character that I make.
Yes.
One of the traits that I will give my characters, and this again for Grimm as well, is I'm very backseat character. He will, and unless there's something else that pushes him up, I will play the character that either nobody likes or he is the jokester of the group, the one who is at the bottom of the totem pole. Because I don't like taking spotlight away from other people.
Got it. Where I've played with guys I've got like serious main character syndrome, and nothing takes the win over sales score like that.
And I'm not gonna lie, it's happened to me in a campaign where I was like that, and I'm like, I don't want to be like that again.
Where you start getting a little bit like narcissistic with your character, and then you think the game needs to be centered around your choices and your decisions.
Yeah, and I had a DM pull me aside, and he's like, "Hey, can you stop doing that?" I'm like, "Oh my god, I didn't realize I was doing this. If this happens again, let me know."
Where
and he's like, "Yeah, I will."
But there's also groups where you kind of have to put yourself out there, because I've told you about the Tuesday Curse of Strahd, and June, Cheech, and Mike are very quiet when it comes to roleplay, and I'm trying to get them on the roll, and the reason why we're making progress is because I'm the face of the party. I'm playing as a charisma bard, eloquence bard in that game, and I'm the one that's talking to all the NPCs, getting the gears of the story continuing to turn, because I know Curse of Strahd sucks, and you need to do stuff in a very specific order in order to get that story to progress. And I have already played this game 7 times by this point and never finished it, so I know who I'm supposed to go to, and I'm able to get the story on the move, because what the 3 of them want to do is combat. That's what they're interested the most in. And I'm thinking, well, why aren't we just playing a war game by this point? But
like 40k.
Yeah, but I digress. And whenever it comes to roleplay, I love doing that. And roleplay and exploration are my two favorite things to do in D&D. So I feel it's like I have to get to that kind of mindset where I have to make the first move and everything. But when you're in a game that's got a lot of people that want to talk, then you want to abandon that mindset.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cleft Reid is my comfort zone, if I was to put it in words. That
Because
Cleft Reid being the butt of the party, or the one who doesn't speak as much but is there as like a joke character in a way.
yes.
That is who I would normally typically play.
Because for the most part in this game so far, the way that Kyle's been running it, Ends the Road and Autumn Leaves are the names I keep seeing pop up in comments when it comes to this game. And that, like the drama and like the half brother, half sister kind of relationship between the two. They're not half siblings, but they act like it. And
Cleft is there to steal the kills and to be like, hey, I'm throwing rocks at Banes.
Along with this like rival character with Ends the Road, because Ends the Road is looking at Cleft Reid, like she tries coming on to him, she pulls away, and like she looks at you like, what's wrong with you? A beautiful girl comes onto you and you back away. What kind of virgin do you think you are? And just
he's the type of person to be like, I don't need women, I got moonshine. Or, you know, I'm not gonna lie to you, I was half tempted to have him have a wife somewhere along the Appalachia. And I'm still debating it at this point.
Like a woman that you saw once and then slept with once, and then behold, you have a kid and you never knew about it.
Well, Metis can't have kids.
Right. Oh, that's right. You are a Metis. I forgot.
Yeah. So he just has a wife out there. That's something that I'm playing with. Whether or not I want it to be canon, I don't know yet.
Yeah,
it would be great.
We'll end up at a truck stop, and then somebody will recognize you at the truck stop.
Yeah.
And with the campaign too, I noticed like your relationship with Autumn Leaves and how comical it is, because
out of character, I'm doing that for the danger sense and the daredevil aspects.
To farm some willpower.
Yeah, just to farm some willpower. But I absolutely love the back and forth between the two of him almost losing fingers to being like, they'll grow back.
Because you so desperately want Autumn Leaves to like you in the game.
Yeah.
And you see something in this Red Talon, you see something in this Genocider that nobody else seems to see. And you so badly want to have a relationship with him.
He's like, deep down, he's a good boy. All dogs are. All wolves are.
And
he just doesn't see it yet.
And then the one person in the party that you could really trust is Jen, where...
Either Jen or Sid.
Yeah, because Siddhartha too. Sean has been very low key with the game, and that's fine. His character's more of an observer, and or like Sid is this wise man character that occasionally has this really wild moment that comes out of nowhere. Where the way that Sean's been playing him, this is a character that's already gone to the end of his own personal quest, and this is like his. When you see Happily Ever After, what is that supposed to look like? And that's what Sid's whole role in Rich Goes Appalachia is. He's already done his adventure, and now he's been wrapped into another one. Is where that's going. And I like what you've got with this character so far, because Cleft Reid is a character that's really funny, but he's got such a low tolerance for bullshit too.
Oh yeah, he does.
Where you countered Mud and you were on the phone with the Setites. You hung up on the Setites.
Yeah. He's like, you know what? This is just getting too complicated. Hang up.
Yeah, you just go ahead and you just hang up the phone. Burnt down that bridge.
One of the things that he hasn't. So he has another merit called Poison Resistance.
Yes.
He hasn't been able to use it, but I'm guessing he's going to be using it soon with the way that, with us especially being in a Black Spiral Dancer zone. So I'm excited for that.
And
I've mentioned 3 of them: Beast Affinity, Daredevil, and Common Sense.
yes, and your characters. I'm enjoying where Cleft Reid is going. I know that I'm just seeing the tip of the iceberg, so to speak, with this character.
All right.
Yeah.
Like I said, there's some things that I'm still debating on, but this character's mostly fleshed out,
Yeah.
and I'm super excited about it. And he's sitting at currently 2 strength, 4 dexterity, 2 stamina. 3 stamina, 3 charisma, 2 manipulation, 1 appearance, because Bonars have that thing where they can't go above 1.
And
He has.
okay, no, you continue.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
He has 4 perception, 2 intelligence, 2 wits. He's got 5 in medicine, 4 in craft, 4 in drive, 4 in firearms, 4 in leadership and science. We're using leadership as dodge, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, we are, because Kyle's using the W20 sheet, and that's missing a few stats from that changed a few stats from revised edition.
Yeah. He's got 1 in athletics, primal urge, and stealth, and 2 into melee.
So
Overall, he's the crafting or the repair, driver, and medicine science guy.
You're playing him like a D&D rogue is how you're playing him, or a bard.
He's the one making the moonshine. He's the Philodox. He's the Metis.
Sorry, artificer would be a better idea, because
Artificer, yeah,
your character's all based around gadget use and tool use.
Yeah,
and along with that, when it comes to a lot of transit, you're the character that's done the most driving so far.
Yeah, me and Jen. Yeah.
Where I have drive with Insta Road, but I've never got to use it yet. and with
he's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8 gifts as of this point.
Yeah.
3 we know: King of Beasts, Sonic Shout, and Burrow.
Yes.
But he has also Shed, which is something that I've been eager to use.
The minute
which is
that you get grabbed, you can slink out something.
Yeah. I shed all my fur and become this oily werewolf.
Where in case we encounter this tentacle beast or a hit mark, you can slide right out of it.
Yeah. The one thing I'm excited to play is him shifting to Hamid form and being completely fucking bald.
Yeah. you throw your mullet in the man's face and he lets go of you.
Yeah. He also has Create an Element, as we know. He has Resist Pain, and he has Cooking and Trash is Treasure.
There it is. And just a very good spread of gifts that we designed.
Yeah, exactly.
There it is. You know how to max out your character, because we made the game. And where do you want Cleft Reid to go as a character? What's your expectations with Cleft?
Cleft, I just want him to be an overall menace.
Mm-hmm. Well,
whether that be to Hamids or to the people that he's against, i.e. the Setites or the Black Spiral Dancers. He just wants to always be a pain in their ass.
It's just out to be a Hellraiser, ultimately.
Yeah, he's out there selling moonshine, causing trouble. He's got an arrest warrant on him for multiple explosions throughout the Appalachia place.
Where it's like a more heroic Trevor Phillips, so to speak.
Yeah.
And then with that, we got Zamir in Red Cross Russia, where
Zamir is very interesting.
Yeah,
he's the opposite of what I play.
I gave you a challenge when we were making these characters, because you were saying I don't know what to play. I said I suggested Uktena, is why I suggested that first. But then as we were doing the session 0, you changed it to Bonars. No, not Bonars, Stargazers.
Stargazers, yeah.
And I looked at that, and I thought, yeah, this is before the big retreat order was given. So go ahead, do a Stargazer. Let me see how this turns out. And you've come up with a character that you're very offense-based to play as Cleft Reid. You're defense-based to play as Zamir.
Zamir is a challenge for me to play because he is absolutely a support character.
Yes, where
He's the healer. He's the person who stays in the back line.
the way that we've
Just,
got you set up in Race Across Russia so far is that he's this messiah kind of character.
yeah.
Where you're the one that Estrella chose, and she's revealed herself to be your totem now. That Savior was a lie. It was Estrella who was leading you, and she gave you the power to revive your dead pack. And I haven't revealed what it is yet, but you know that something's missing. That was there a fifth member of the pack? What were you doing? How did we meet? Why are so many memories missing? And then we get to find out as the game goes along. But the way you've been playing Zamir, he's a very introverted character in comparison to Cleft and Grimm.
Yeah.
Where very soft-spoken, not looking to cause any trouble.
He's very peaceful. The way I see it, and not exactly the way I've been playing him, but he's a pacifist made violent.
Yes. He's not to the point where he's a childlike guy where he can't bring himself to killing anybody. He's a stargazer where you believe that there's more to life out there than just violence.
And I try to keep my characters to the merits and flaws that I've chosen.
Yes. And,
so he has nightmares throughout the night. So like he doesn't sleep well, and after waking for an hour, all their rolls are made with one less dice. He is socially isolated, which is the introvert of him.
Yes.
If it's not with his pack, he'd rather not talk to people.
Right.
But he's made to talk to people. And he has a dark fate, which means it's impossible for them to have anything resembling a happy ending. So at the end of this chronicle, something is going to happen to Zamir that either kills him or leaves him mentally scarred.
Or I might have a third option prepared for you.
Or the third option. I left that completely in Johnny's hands.
Because the way we've been going with his personal story is that you've got this whole messiah kind of character archetype going with you, but your character's also a failure at the same time, because you have your whole backstory where you trusting a ratkin that you didn't know was worm corrupted almost got Clytal Puck killed, the figurehead of the Stargazers, and with that it led to you become a pariah amongst the Stargazers, and very few members of the Gale Nation actually taught you what you were or what your responsibilities were supposed to be. So you were set up for failure before this game started, and ever since then you're thrown to the wolves, so to speak. You are like struggling to find out what do your powers do, how are you supposed to fight, what all can my forms do. You're because a lot of your stuff, you have stuff like Falling Touch, where that's not exactly designed for you to get killed. That's set up. That's designed for someone else to get that. And over the time, your character's like adapting a bit more to combat, because I think you were just healing and strictly healing when we were in the scab, when we were in the launch pad, but then you went into the absolute calamity that was Red Army Haunt, and now that we are out of Black Angel's Tread, when you had the fight with the Spirit of Death, and you now have that sword that can exorcise ghosts because it's partially made out of Stygian steel, and you can strike ghosts with it and exorcise the ghost, and you can do extra damage to Banes with it, and you found out that you just picked up basically Excalibur out in the middle of the Russian steppe, and slowly but surely you're starting to like reclaim that messiah image that we set you up for at the start of the game, where your character's slowly starting to build up more confidence as the game goes on, as I'm noticing.
Yeah.
And
one of the neat things, even though he doesn't remember it, he is also a reincarnation.
Where at some point you did something important, and your character, with the way it's going, it looks like sacrifice might be in your future. Yeah.
He also got a couple points in fate and spirit favor, so he's in touch with the spirits. He did something important. He will do something important, but he will not have an happy ending. And I am super excited for whatever plays out for Zamir.
Yeah, I'm ready for you to have the conversation where we're going to go to this area and it's going to be terrible for us. I'm going to be betrayed. I'm going to be vilified. I'm going to be tortured, and then I'm going to die. But we're going to do it anyway. That's just what I am and what
we're going to do it anyway because that's what I need to do.
That's what it is. It's a character that puts... Cleft Reid is more like an Epicurean kind of character where Cleft Reid does it because he wants to. Zamir does it because he has to.
Exactly.
And it's this objectively more heroic character that is... I feel like with Rich Cross Russia, we've got more of a synergy going along with that because there's no clear-cut main character, so to speak, in that party. Because everyone's getting an equal amount of attention in that game. And it would have been set up for Ursula to be the lead, but Meepian does miss a few games, and Meepian has never played a party face in any game that we've run with him. So it's been equally balanced between the five of us in that party. And it feels like we got a stronger ensemble. Nobody really stands out in the party, but it feels more like you're a cohesive team in that game compared to Range West Appalachia, where everybody's super raging. Exactly, because you're fighting Vasilisa, a Nick Tuku 4th generation. You're going to need all the help you can get.
Exactly.
Because we still, as of this episode, we haven't fully seen what she can do. And we've got some nasty surprises lined up for you when that eventually does come around. If she has Bazarial under her control, where Bazarial killed you with a flick of her finger, then...
Absolute. That was fucking terrible.
Oh, yeah. With that, she didn't go into Apocalypse form, which is why you didn't go into Frenzy. But that was Bazarial before she showed off what she could really do. And that's how strong she was. So the whole terror behind what exactly are we up against. And going along with your character creation, with Zamir, what exactly are your expectations with him as we progress through Bridge Cross Russia?
Like I said, I'm really excited to see how he ends. Zamir as a character, he's looking for the total survival of his party, no matter what it takes.
Right.
The fact that memories of his are missing is a little bit concerning.
Right.
The fact that one of his party members can remember somebody that he can't is also very concerning.
Mm-hmm. And
as to what he can do to fix that, I've been thinking either he takes a couple of rituals, or maybe calls in the spirit. Yeah, or call a spirit, because he also has spirit favor.
You call in one of the Norns and say, "Can you please look into my past and find out what's going on here?"
Yeah.
And between the characters that we've played on this show, between Grimm, Cleft, and Zamir, do you think between your favorite characters, you said Sylvester's your favorite?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Hands down.
And then Grimm is right behind that? Or has Cleft or Zamir surpassed that? See,
Grimm is second.
Yeah. And do you think...
And if I had to put it, I think would it be Cleft over Zamir or Zamir over Cleft?
And
I want to put Zamir above Cleft, mainly because, like I said, comfort zone.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, I really like what I'm doing with Cleft.
And with your character development, do you think Cleft or Zamir is going to pass Grimm at some point?
I think they both have the potential to pass Grimm. And mainly because, one, I'm more comfortable with the recording. I'm more comfortable speaking on behalf of the character.
Right.
So I think both of them are going to surpass Grimm. I doubt they will surpass Sylvester.
Yeah, because Sylvester was like your comfort character, so to speak. The comfort zodiac.
whoa, hold on. hey. Yes, but no. and I'm excited for whatever's next, because I know there's some speculation of the games that we're going to be going forward to playing, so I'm kind of excited to think up the characters for that.
It's going to be me and Kyle asking, who do you want to have be the dedicated World of Darkness storyteller between the two of us? Because it's either going to be my mage game or his vampire game. And whoever doesn't run World of Darkness will run DC-20 for the group instead. And Shauna said, don't wait for DC-20 to come up proper, but I'm thinking I can still run a game at level 4. And I can still do the playtest material. Because I did it with the Haragon and the Fairy with D&D 5e. I could do that with DC-20 before the features get released. Where seeing like the early installment weirdness, or if
just given with what we have.
Yeah. And when it comes to you making characters, you said that Zamir's out of your comfort zone. What do you usually do when it comes to character creation?
Grimm.
There it is. You want to play
the big stupid brute.
You like playing muscleheads.
Yeah.
Or,
like I said, when I play a character, I'm more of the sit back and watch other people, and then if I'm needed, I'll pipe up.
See, where.
So like anything really that sits back and watch the party. Bard, maybe not Bard. Bard was a bad example. Rogue, monk, barbarian, fighter.
Where, looking at the way you play characters, you said you're like surface level familiar with Hunter x Hunter.
Yeah, I appreciate the way you said that. You mean Hunter, right?
Yeah, there's a character in it, Menthuthu Yuppie. That name is a mouthful, but like the way
which one was that?
He's this guy who appears like towards the end of the anime, who's this gigantic guy. He's just red, like head to toe, his skin is red, and he's super muscular, and he's just out. His whole personality is, I want to kill stuff because it amuses me, is what he wants to do. And
where you're talking about the Chimera,
yes,
the Chimera Ant arc, right?
Yes. Where
was he one of the 3 generals or whatever of the Chimera?
He fights Killua in an
I got you. Yeah. I remember now.
And he's the one that Killua just keeps wailing on, and he just doesn't ever seem to die.
Yeah.
And then when he throws a punch, it's this like earth-shattering smash, and he's able to metamorphosize himself and become all these like horrors beyond belief.
Yeah.
Where, fun thing about him, Joshua Tomar voices that guy. Well, one of the voice actors in Smiling Friends. So.
Which one was Smiling? Oh.
Yeah. Tomar will occasionally pop in as a side character. And like that kind of characters who you tend to make.
Yes.
Yeah. There's a big damn man who wants to smash stuff. Where.
There's some times where I'll play like a bard or a sorcerer or a wizard or a rogue. I'm playing a rogue now in one of my campaigns.
Yeah. And do your characters tend to be good, evil, or neutral most of the time?
They are mainly neutral. I've played one evil character, and I've played a ton of good characters, but they're mainly neutral.
Yeah. You usually go down the middle of the line when it comes to morality. You don't make openly virtuous heroes, but don't make anyone who's out and out evil.
I play ones that will turn a blind eye when need to, or when need to, will strike justice.
Yes. And you got a character that looks like really fun and kind of shit. Yeah, I just went to DMs with Kyle. All right. Well, okay. Nothing. Okay. No, get out of this. I forgot what I was doing for a minute. All right. And with your characters, you tend to go for like more the character's there when he's there. He's needed when he's needed, kind of stuff.
Yeah, again, this is mainly stemming off the fact that when I was first starting out in D&D, not Pathfinder, I was playing a character that was like, "Hey, look at me," pretty much a Mr. Meeseeks.
Yes.
And I was like, the DM brought it up, and he's like, "Hey, I don't like when you do this," and I was like, "Oh shit, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Let me, I will sit back." And then after that, it just a paranoia set on me, and I was like, you know what? From now on, I'll play these here when you need them. That way, if ever I need to leave or do something, because I'm either on a hunting trip or I have to work late.
Yeah.
They can always have an excuse to be like, "Hey, this person's not here. This person goes and does something else."
Where you've got this this kind of mentality where you can make an easily moldable character, so to speak. Where
Yes.
yeah, and looking at this, ain't nothing wrong with running a character like that, because sometimes you're just in a game where the storyteller needs to talk, or you're in a game where every player at the table wants to have their voice heard. And
Exactly.
yeah, and that tends to be just a good mindset to go into when you do D&D. And have you ever done a party face with a character?
Recently?
Yeah.
No.
Because
I mean, the latest game that I did I was the face of the party was Grimm.
got it.
Before that, it was a half orc named Bach, and he was a urban bounty hunter.
There he is.
Bounty
And what
hunter.
was he, a fighter?
He was a battle master fighter.
You son of a bitch! That is my least favorite combination in D&D.
He was a half orc battle master fighter.
You went with the meta, the D&D 5e meta.
You got to understand, this was my first character that I wasn't DM.
And then fucking Socks comes up and applies for Dungeon of Mad Mage with that exact same build. It's just what everybody goes with.
I have to tell you, Johnny, I fucking love him. That is my favorite class to play. I mean, I'll mix it up. I'll play halfling or gnome or kobold, goblin, but half-orc is my number one go-to.
Go full or go home. Go with the full orc genes. Quit being this. You can't do that anymore. In 2024, Wizard of the Coast said no more race mixing. That's what they said. They said it's offensive to do that. So they deleted it.
Species now.
They deleted it.
Species mixing.
I haven't played 2024, and I already hate 2024.
Why would I willingly take the -2 to intelligence?
Notice. Because you don't need it. When was the last time you had intelligence be the central focus of a D&D game? Intelligence.
Definitely.
Intelligence is your dump stat. If you don't pass the religion roll, you'll have a character, an NPC, tell you this information later.
What do you mean? I played a sorcerer with a dumb set of Constitution.
You could play the Ancestors Barbarian and just do the ritual that gives you the information. The Wizard and the Artificer. You can go so many games of D&D now without having either one in the party. They're no longer quintessential. This is how much intelligence has dropped off. So go ahead. Just take the intelligence dump. Don't worry about it. Your character doesn't need to read. You have less than 8 intelligence, you can't read. And there we go. You got anything else about the character creation process you want to share? We've been going on for about an hour 30.
Just to finish up Zamir, he has a 1 in strength, 4 in dexterity, 3 in stamina, 2 in charisma, 1 in manipulation, 3 in appearance, 4 in perception and intelligence, 2 in wits. He's got a 5 in alertness, a 5 in dodge, 2 in empathy, 3 in expression, 4 in melee, 3 in survival and craft, 3 in enigmas. 4 in enigmas. Jesus Christ.
It's a fun word.
Enigmas and medicine, and 3 in investigation, 1 in occult.
There we go.
He's got 3 gifts, which are Falling Touch, Master of Fire, and Apecraft. 4. Apecraft, Blessing, and Mother's Touch. He has his merits are Calm Mind, which means he can't be forced into a frenzy.
Right.
He's got Mighty Morphing, which allows him to, once every session, unless my werewolf was a metis, which he is not, he can instantly instantly change forms at the start of my turn in combat. One that doesn't really make sense, and I don't know why I chose it. Machine Head. This can't be selected if your werewolf is a lupus. All rolls involving machines and engines are rolled at a -1.
Well, wait until we get into Crash Zone.
True. And he, for a total of 3 points, he has dextrocardia, which means his heart is on the opposite side of his body.
Which has proven to be very useful so far.
True.
See, that prevents you from getting fatally shot in the wrong side of your body.
I already went over his flaws. He's got 3 rage, 5 gnosis, and 3 willpower.
Yeah. A very modest character at the moment.
Oh, yeah.
And I think I got
15 experience to play with.
I think I've got another question for you.
All right.
So out of this group, between player characters of other members of the Galliard group's cast, who's your favorite that we've played as?
How do you mean?
Say, take Mapian, Kyle, myself, Ham, and Sean, and Rapid 2, and put all their player characters in a bucket. Out of all the player characters that we've run, which one do you like the most?
If I had to choose,
See, you're thinking Vega Corinth or Ragnar?
that I gotta say, that is the number one answer that came to my head was Vega.
It was Vigo, just because of how I think he's just our collective favorite character in World
The
Darkness.
second was Tyler.
Tyler Bassett.
Yeah.
The fucking
The Fion.
Shit loaf.
Yep.
There it is. But you like Vigo because of just how well Ham played the psychopath kind of character.
Well, maybe not the psychopath part, but how well he played the character and how well our characters meshed together.
You are a bad guy, but you're not bad guy.
Yeah.
Yeah. You are.
Or that one song.
Yeah. You are openly evil. You conspire in front of the party, but you're too charismatic for us to turn against.
Yeah.
And then Tyler, because of just what a doofus Tyler was throughout the game.
Absolutely. I fucking loved Tyler when we played him.
Yep.
A lot of people were like, oh, Grimm or Chico.
Yeah.
Chico was great.
Mm-hmm.
I love Chico. But I gotta say, I think I like Tyler more.
Because just how goofy he was, and that if something bad happened, he just happened to be the target of it.
Yeah.
The luckiest unlucky man in all of New York.
Again, this might be biased because I'm basing my on our interactions with each character.
Yeah.
The relationship between Tyler and Grimm was just phenomenal in my mind.
You're looking at this. Who's this little guy telling me what to do?
Exactly.
Or just like comedy duo the had between the two.
It started like, this guy's only good for healing, to I will kill anyone who tries to harm him.
Yes. He may be an idiot, but he's our idiot.
Yeah.
There he is. Well, there we go. I'm out of questions. Any closing ideas, Ryan?
I can't wait for the next games to see what kind of monstrosities I make up.
See. And we have to do something crazy, and you get to kill something this Sunday.
Do I?
Yeah, the hunting trip. There it is.
Oh shit! Yeah, I'm leaving Sunday night to hunt Monday through Thursday.
Got it. All right, so.
I thought you were talking in game. I'm like, I hope I'm not killing something.
There it is. You're gonna find something. You're gonna sing the Bad Venison song the entire time. All right, I think that's it for this episode. Let me wrap this up and let me get this uploaded. What am I gonna do for a thumbnail? see.
We can discuss this after you end it.
Yeah, I'll figure something out. All right, in the recording, stop recording now. GN, everyone.
Have a good night, guys.
Bye-bye.